I'm not the kind of guy who believes in ghosts. I'm a software engineer from Seattle. I deal in logic, code, and coffee. But what happened to me last October in that cabin deep in the Cascade Mountains? It broke something in me. I haven't slept with the lights off since. And the worst part? I can still hear the knocking. Even now, sitting in my apartment 200 miles away, I hear it. 3 slow knocks, every night at 3 a.m. Let me tell you what happened. It started innocently enough. I'd been burning out at work, 16-hour days, failed relationships, the usual Seattle tech bro nightmare. My therapist suggested a digital detox, so I found this cabin on a sketchy rental website, the Whitmore Cabin. Built in 1947, 15 miles outside the small town of Ridge Falls, Washington. Population, 237. The photos looked perfect, rustic, isolated, cheap, $70 a night. The owner, a guy named Earl Whitmore, sounded friendly enough over email. A little odd, maybe. "We just one rule," he wrote. "Don't open the door between midnight and dawn, no matter what you hear." So I laughed it off. Probably just wildlife, right? Bears, coyotes, whatever. I drove up on a Friday afternoon in mid-October. The road to the cabin turned from asphalt to gravel to barely there dirt. My GPS died about 5 miles out. I almost turned back, but then I saw it. A small wooden cabin nestled between towering pines, smoke curling from the chimney. Merle was waiting on the porch. 70-something, weathered face, eyes that looked tired, haunted even. "Marcus Webb?" he asked. "That's me." He handed me a key, an actual old-fashioned iron key. "Remember what I said, midnight to dawn. Keep that door locked." "What's out there? Bears?" He looked at me for a long moment. "Something like that." The cabin was perfect. 1 room, a wood-burning stove, a bed with thick quilts, and absolute silence. No cell service, no Wi-Fi, just me and a stack of books I'd been meaning to read. I made dinner, read by candlelight, and felt more relaxed than I had in months. I went to bed around 11 p.m. Suddenly alert, startled awake. I woke to knocking. 3 deliberate knocks on the door. I checked my watch, 3:17 a.m. My heart hammered. I sat up in bed, listening. The knocking came again. 3 slow, evenly spaced knocks. Not frantic, not aggressive, almost polite. "Hello?" I called out. Silence. I remembered Earl's warning, but curiosity gnawed at me. Maybe someone was hurt, lost. I grabbed my phone for the flashlight and crept to the door. "Who's there?" Nothing. I pressed my ear against the wood. I could hear breathing, slow, steady breathing on the other side. "I'm calling the police." The breathing stopped. Footsteps crunched away through the leaves. I waited 20 minutes, then went back to bed, telling myself it was just a confused hiker. I didn't sleep. The next morning I checked outside. No footprints. The ground was soft from rain. There should have been prints, but there was nothing. I drove into Ridge Falls to grab supplies. The general store was run by a woman named Dolores, maybe 60, with kind eyes that hardened when I mentioned where I was staying. "The Whitmore place?" she said quietly. "You should leave." "Why?" She glanced around, then leaned close. "That cabin? Bad things happened there. Back in 1952. The Whitmore family, Earl's parents and his little sister Annie. She was 7. "What happened?" "They say Annie went missing one night, just vanished from her bed. They found her 3 days later in the woods, alive, but wrong. She wouldn't talk, wouldn't eat, just stared at the cabin door. She died 2 weeks later. Never said a word about what took her." A chill ran down my spine. "What took her?" Dolores shook her head. "Earl's the only one left. He won't talk about it. But people hear things out there. Knocking, voices. Some folks who've rented that cabin, they leave in the middle of the night. Won't say why. I should have left then. God, I should have. But I didn't. That night, I locked the door, checked it 3 times. I even pushed the small table against it. I lay in bed, watching my watch. 2:45 a.m. 2:58 a.m. 3 a.m. The knocking started at 3:02 a.m. 3 slow knocks. Then a voice. "Hey, please, I'm cold." My blood turned to ice. "Please, let me in. I'm so cold." It was a little girl. I could hear her shivering. "Go away," I managed to say. "I just want to get warm. Please, it's so dark out here." Every instinct screamed at me to help. What if it really was a lost child? "Where are your parents?" "I can't find them. I've been looking so long. Please open the door." I stood up, hands shaking. I approached the door. "What's your name?" "Annie." My heart stopped. Annie Whitmore? "Open the door, Marcus." It knew my name. "Open it now." The doorknob began to rattle violently. The table scraped against the floor. I threw my weight against it, holding it shut. "You have to open it eventually. You have to sleep. You have to leave." The rattling stopped. Footsteps circled the cabin, slowly. I could track them by the sound, around and around. Then they stopped at the window. I made the mistake of looking. There was a face pressed against the glass. But it wasn't a face. Not really. It was white. Too white. Like a mask made of milk. No features, just smooth blankness, except for the eyes. 2 black holes that seemed to absorb the candlelight. And it smiled. The surface cracked and pulled into a too wide smile. I fell backward, screaming. The thing at the window tilted its head, studying me like I was an insect. Then it raised one pale hand and knocked on the glass. 3 times. I crawled to the corner, pulling my knees to my chest. The face watched me for what felt like hours, but was probably minutes. Then it simply faded, like fog dissolving. I sat there until dawn, too terrified to move. I threw my stuff in the car at first light and drove straight to Earl's house in town. I pounded on his door until he answered. "You knew! You knew what was out there!" Earl looked older than he had 2 days ago. Broken. "I tried to warn you," he whispered. "What is that thing?" He let me inside. His house was filled with old photos. I recognized the cabin in many of them, and a little girl, Annie, I assumed, smiling in her father's arms. "It took her. That night in 1952, my parents heard knocking. My father opened the door. There was nothing there. But when he turned around, Annie was gone. Just gone. We found her 3 days later, but whatever came back, it wasn't my Annie. It was something wearing her skin." "What do you mean?" "She wouldn't let us touch her. When my mother tried to hug her, Annie screamed like we'd never heard. And her eyes, they were wrong. Black, empty. She died 2 weeks later, and the thing left her body. But it stayed at the cabin. It's been there ever since, knocking, trying to get someone to let it in." "Let it in? Why?" Earl's hands trembled. "Because it's stuck between worlds. It needs an invitation, permission. If someone opens that door willingly during those hours, it can cross over fully. It can take them, replace them." "That's insane!" "You saw it, didn't you? At the window? I couldn't answer. It chose you, Marcus. It knows your name now. That means what? It won't stop. Distance doesn't matter. It'll follow you. Every night at 3 a.m. it'll knock, wherever you are. That was 6 weeks ago. Earl was right. Every night at 3 a.m. I hear it. 3 knocks. Sometimes on my apartment door, sometimes on my bedroom wall, once on my car window while I was driving. I've tried everything, moved apartments, stayed with friends. Nothing works. Last night, I was at my girlfriend Sarah's place. I didn't tell her about any of this. She already thinks I'm losing it. We fell asleep watching Netflix. At 3 a.m., I woke to knocking. 3 knocks on her bedroom door. Then Sarah's voice from the other side. "Marcus, why did you lock the door? Let me in." But Sarah was asleep next to me. I could see her breathing. The voice came again. "Marcus, please, it's me. Open the door." Sarah stirred. "Babe, who's that?" The thing in the hallway laughed. It sounded like wind through dead trees. I held Sarah close and waited for dawn. I don't know how to stop this. Earl says there's no way. Once it knows you, it never forgets. Some nights, I'm so tired, I think about just opening the door, getting it over with. But then I remember that face at the window, that empty, hungry smile. So I'm writing this down. If you ever see a rental listing for a cabin near Ridge Falls, Washington, the Whitmore cabin, don't go. No matter how good the price, no matter how much you need to get away. And if you do go, if you ignore this warning like I ignored Earl's, whatever you do, whatever you hear, don't open the door at 3 a.m. Because some things aren't meant to come inside. And some invitations can never be taken back. It's 2:47 a.m. as I finish writing this. 13 minutes until the knocking starts. If you're reading this and I haven't updated in a while, I probably answered the door. I'm so tired, so very tired. And it sounds so much like the people I love now. Last night it used my mother's voice. Tonight, I don't know if I can resist. If this is my last post, remember, keep your doors locked, trust your instincts, and never, ever answer the knocking at 3 a.m. 3